Hey, Belleville, can you hear me? Hey, Belleville, can you hear me? Hey, Belleville, it's Mayor Michael Melvin. Can you hear me okay? I see you, Angel. Can you hear me okay? Oh, I see Lewis is there. I see Rob is there. Okay, we're good. I'm going to just give it a few more minutes because I'm sure everybody's just getting a notification now that I'm live. It's been a while since I've been live, so while we're stalling for a little bit of time, I do want to go over a few things. Belleville residents, if you're watching me right now, you know that this coming Saturday is our Great Winter Festival. It's 5:30 to 8:30. Live animals, horse and carriage rides, all kinds of great stuff. An unbelievable Christmas tree. I do see people are joining, so I just want to wait a little bit. This is going to be a kind of a rather important announcement, and it's been a while since I've live streamed. I remember during COVID, I did it regularly on Sundays. It was always great, and I don't always get this opportunity to just come and chat. So here, coming from not the mayor's office, it's been a long day for me. So I'm here in my private company office, and I have another interview scheduled at 8 o'clock tonight. Doing something on NBC. That might be an online edition. So I do see people are joining. I'm going to give it maybe another 30 seconds or so. I do have notes, so it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to go through my notes. I want to make sure I get to say everything I want to say and everything I heard today at the briefing that we had for Just Mayors. So I do see people are joining. That all looks good. Bunch of people joining us. There's been some different media outlets that have been covering my social media the past couple hours or so, and I'm going to be touching on that. So without further ado, I do see people are joining. Again, don't forget this coming Saturday, everybody, a great Winter Festival. Belleville has a Christmas tree lighting. How about that? We don't do no holiday tree here in Belleville. It's a Christmas tree. Okay, I see you. I see you. Hard to read the comments, but I do see everybody like The Office, okay? Nice little office here in Belleville, New Jersey, everybody. All right, we're going to get going. If you do join this, and I'll repeat this throughout the presentation, if you do join us late or come in 5 or 10 minutes in, this will be saved, so you'll have the opportunity to go back and view it. Before I begin, I just want to make a comment on my most recent social media post. I'm going to read it word for word in case you haven't seen it. I wrote it just as I got back into Belleville. And it says, back into Belleville after attending a mayor's only briefing at the state police headquarters about drones that have been spotted statewide. I do go on to say, disappointing to say the least, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Over 500 mayors were invited to this unprecedented mayor's only briefing on such an important topic. And unfortunately, our governor was not there. I got to say, I truly expected him to be there. I know a lot of other mayors who made the trip down there were disappointed that the governor was not there. Many of us traveled nearly 3 hours round trip to be there on short notice. And you know, some of us have full-time jobs like me. So we do mayor work full-time and we do our private work full-time. And to take an hour and a half an hour and a half drive, 3 hours round trip on such short notice to such an unprecedented briefing where only mayors were allowed to be there. No council members, no staff, no police chiefs, no business administrators, nobody else. We really would have thought, since we were traveling so close to Trenton, that the governor would have been there. Unfortunately, he was not there. And the information that we did learn, that I'm going to get into, literally bullet point by bullet point for you all, the information that we did learn very easily could have been done on a Zoom call. So it was great to see my fellow mayors, my fellow colleagues. I've probably never seen so many mayors and just mayors in one single room, but it really could have been done on a Zoom. And sadly, throughout the presentation that we eventually got into, several mayors just decided just to walk out because we weren't really learning too much of any different that we had heard maybe in media. I will say, though, I did get some takeaways, so we're going to get into that. That said, I have convened a Belleville OEM meeting, and I made it very clear on social media, if the state won't act, Belleville must act. So we did convene an OEM meeting today. This afternoon, we had that call. I had the police department in on that call. We'll be dealing with the fire department, any other agencies locally that we do need. And I'll be getting into what we did on that call in just a minute. I did go on to say that we are really interested in having the governor issue an executive order to implement an immediate ban on all personal and commercial drones. They have pushed back on this, and they pushed back on this during the meeting, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes. And I did mention that we're going to be live streaming. So today, to get past that social media post and start with this presentation, I did convene an OEM meeting today. Myself was there as the deputy coordinator. Our coordinator was there. Our deputy coordinator was there, as well as our police chief was there. And we talked about safeguarding Belleville's critical infrastructure. Now, why is that? Well, I'm going to get into that in just a few minutes. But we did talk about the need to safeguard Belleville's critical infrastructure. And we did want to know, and we want you to know, and this is something that's not a secret, but where we sit geographically in Belleville, even though we have had drone sightings and drone reports, it was learned today, and one of the takeaways today was that these drones statewide are hovering and appearing to be surveilling New Jersey's critical infrastructure. So if there was one takeaway today, it was that. And it was told to us that they know where they're at, they know where they're hovering, how long they're hovering. We can't necessarily know how they get there or how they're leaving, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes, but they are appearing to hover or monitor our state infrastructure, and that's why I just said a few minutes ago, it's Belleville's job to now act. We have to make sure that our critical infrastructure is protected, and we have already stood up that OEM meeting, and we are going to be doing that. I want to be very clear. We are still asking for a temporary ban on all personal and commercial drones. I will be joining many other mayors in that call. But here in Belleville, we're going to protect our infrastructure, and we will defend it if need be. That was my social media post, and that was my OEM update. Going on to the specific details of today's meetings. As I mentioned, there were two takeaways today. When we first sat in that meeting, and I want to be very clear, they were very transparent. They said, mayors, you could take notes, you could take a picture, you could record us if you want. Anything you're going to hear today, you most certainly can go share with your residents. So everything I'm going to share with you today, I have permission to share. Two of the early takeaways we learned is that these drones are not state of New Jersey drones. They are not part of any local government here in New Jersey or any part of any state government in New Jersey. These are not New Jersey drones. We are also told, and I say told, we are also told that these are not federal drones. When they were pressed on this by the mayors, they went a little deeper and they said that, one of the mayors stood up and said, well, have you asked point blank the Department of Defense or National Federal Homeland Security? Are these your drones? Are they ever going to come back to you someday? And they said point blank, not ours. A statement from them. Federal government, not our drones. Now, I'm just telling you that's what the federal government has told New Jersey. I believe New Jersey. I believe that these are not New Jersey's. I believe they are not local governments here in New Jersey. That said, I'm telling you what the feds have told us, have told New Jersey and have told us that it's not theirs. You could take them at their word or not, but that is what the feds say. They are not ours. So those were two immediate takeaways. We also, one of the other takeaways was that they told us, mayors, everybody that's in the room right now, when you leave this room, everything that we know, you will know. So at this point, my notes that are written here, anything that I'm telling you is the most up-to-date information the state of New Jersey has. I have right now the most up-to-date information the state of New Jersey has. So that's what today was all about. Like I mentioned earlier, it was an unprecedented meeting. There has never been a meeting like this before where every single mayor was convened. Members of the state legislature were there. So it was, there were a lot of people down there. The state legislature went first, then mayors again. It had never happened before. We are allowed to share, as I mentioned it, and I did mention that several mayors were very disappointed that the governor was not there. We were briefed on everything the state knows, and if I'm repeating myself, sorry, I just want to make sure I get all my notes. We were definitely briefed on everything the state knows. The feds are telling us, not them, New Jersey's mayors currently know every single thing that New Jersey knows. That being said, we had briefings from federal agencies. They were piped into us. And we heard them say point blank, not us, and how they're coordinating with the Coast Guard and other entities to try and track these things down. So a little bit of facts here. First sightings were reported in November 18th, about 3 weeks ago. Since then, sightings have happened every single night, dawn to dusk. These drones are typically out there 6 or 7 hours, which is pretty long if you know anything about drones. The frequency range from reportings anywhere between 4 to 180 sightings per night. Talk about public safety for a minute. That came up because mayors, we're on the ground. We want to be able to talk to our constituents and answer our constituents. So we did cover those threats. State police, who emceed the meeting, for lack of a better word, basically stood up the very early on in the meeting and said, there is no credible threat. I agree with other legislatures and I agree with other mayors that this is misleading. I truly do believe that. Because as we pressed, and trust me, we pressed, we learned that no credible threat is kind of almost legalese. In a legal sense, if there is a known threat that they are aware of, and they know something is going to happen at a certain time with a certain object to a certain location, well, that is deemed a credible threat. If they don't know what's going to happen, it's not necessarily a credible threat. It's called a potential threat. So they are saying there is a threat, potential, but they're saying that there are no credible threats. Again, kind of weird. So we pressed them on that. And they basically gave us an example. Said, listen, right now we do not believe drones hovering in the sky are a credible threat. Potential threat, because if they rise too high, a couple hundred feet above where they are maybe, and they collide with a plane, well, we all know that a flock of geese can bring down a 747. And they said that. A drone would be able to bring down an airplane if it collided with it. So there is that potential, but no known credible threat. Just to reiterate here, everybody, New Jersey saying we don't know where these drones are from. We don't know who's operating them. The feds are saying they're not ours. So clearly there's need for concern. One of the important notes, as I mentioned earlier, they are usually seen around our critical infrastructure statewide. What does that mean? Picatinny Arsenal. That's right. It's an arsenal. Drones have been reported over that and near that airspace. Our reservoirs. Drones are near our reservoirs. Our nuclear plants. Drones are near our nuclear plants. And again, I'm not speaking out of line. Everything I'm reading from my own notes, I'm permitted to say right now. One of the alarming things was the mayor in West Milford. She stood up and she said, I'm the mayor of West Milford. I think she said we have 4 of the largest reservoirs in the state of New Jersey. And she said Sunday, 60 drones were hovering over those reservoirs. So when they talk about critical infrastructure, that's something that here in Belleville we're looking at. Belleville does have a hospital that is considered critical infrastructure to us. And we also have what most Bellevilleites know as the Newark Reservoir, which is in the middle of Belleville. It does not have water in it, but it does have critical infrastructure underneath. As a matter of fact, so critical that that water that runs in those pipes feeds the 2 largest municipalities in New Jersey. So therefore, we certainly do feel that it is critical. And starting tonight, because of our OEM meeting and our chief's order, Belleville Police Department will have a lookout in that location where our officers will be there from time to time doing rolling inspections, getting out of their car, and in fact, looking up to see if they see anything. As always, if you see something, say something. We ask you not to necessarily use 911 locally, but if you do use 911 locally, our Belleville Police Department has a direct line to the FBI. We can create a special report. That report goes directly to the FBI, and that's how they're aggregating all of this. The drones, what about the drones? They are large drones. They could be up to 6 feet in diameter. They operate in a coordinated manner. The lights are usually on and they're blinking if you've seen any videos, but they do turn off at times, making it very difficult to detect. They appear to actually avoid detection by traditional methods. So when our state police helicopter has gotten close, lights go off and they go away. Makes it very, very difficult. We do not know a make and model. We don't know anything else about them. As far as the investigation agencies are involved, the FBI is the lead on this. So that's why when we get a local report here in Belleville, that goes directly to the FBI. Department of Homeland Security is also involved. Here's an interesting one. We talked a lot about regulations, which is something that you wouldn't think to talk about, but federal airspace is federal. And believe it or not, drones are considered aircraft. So aircraft when they're in the air, are basically under federal jurisdiction. And I say that because people say, well, why don't we just shoot it down? You know, we can just have the state police just shoot them down so we know what's going on. We have absolutely no authority to shoot down any aircraft, including drones. That comes under federal jurisdiction. And at this point, the feds are not willing to contemplate that just yet. Some of the other regulations that are not being followed. Regulations say that drones can operate at nighttime. However, at nighttime, the operator must be on site. And at this point, because there's so many drones and it's such a coordinated fashion, we do not believe the operator is anywhere near in sight. That's directly from the state police. So again, we have absolutely no authority due to federal regulations. They are illegal to shoot down, either by our government or individual residents, by the way. Federal regulations say that the operators must be on site at night. We do not believe they are. And any interception or takedown would be under the jurisdiction of the federal government. Now, that said, we have been coordinating. We've had state police helicopters up over the Raritan Bay waiting because they thought maybe they're coming in over the ocean or from the ocean. So we've had our helicopters there waiting. Our helicopters have coordinated with U.S. Coast Guard. So New Jersey is coordinating with federal authorities. New Jersey has some of the best detection equipment in the nation, I am told. We have by far the most robust equipment, is what the state police told us. The detection equipment is up, but not detecting. These are 6-foot drones that are somehow evading our detection. They are not being detected. We usually pick them up on local radar because they emit a radio frequency. That is not happening. Either they're not emitting a radio frequency or they're just evading our detection hardware. That said, as I mentioned just before, the Coast Guard is watching, and we do have New Jersey aviation patrols up in the air. At this point, we have not been able to make any contact. I think there's been 1 or 2 sightings where we've gotten close, and as I mentioned before, the lights immediately go out. In the state police, I will say the state police are a little concerned for the safety of their helicopter pilots, not knowing if there's a collision or if they do collide, what would happen. So they are currently revisiting those guidelines. Here's some unknowns. And again, they were very transparent today. So some of the unknowns. The state police says, unknowns. We have no idea where they're taking off from. No idea. We have no idea where they're landing. No idea at all. We have no idea who's behind them because, as I mentioned, they are not state and we are told it is not federal. We have no idea the drone types, as I mentioned before. And this was an interesting word that came up today. No idea, because they are very large drones, whether or not they even carry a payload or can carry a payload. So clearly, there's cause for concern. And that's what the mayors are tasked with doing today, talking to our local residents and making sure that they are aware of the concern that's out there. And as I say, look up. If you see something, say something. There is a thought, and this was discussed today, there is a thought that because we do believe they may be coming from the ocean, that they may be originating from a ship. So there may be a ship out to sea, but that has not been confirmed. As I mentioned, the state police is in contact with the Coast Guard. What is known? Here's what's known. We know that there have been no daytime sightings. So they are clearly choosing to operate under the cover of darkness at nighttime. There are no daytime sightings. We know because we can see how long they stay in one area, that they stay up about 6 to 7 hours. And if you're a drone operator, you probably know that that's a very, very long time. We know that we've gotten close, but when we do get close, the lights have gone dark and they have left the area. And we do know that they are flying, as I've repeatedly said, they are flying over critical infrastructure like reservoirs, Picatinny Arsenal, Trump Bedminster, and our nuclear power plants. I want to say the mayors were adamant. It was not just one mayor. The mayors are adamant that we want an immediate ban on all personal and commercial drones. This way, at nighttime, if we see something, we know it's not us and we know it's them. There was pushback on this. I got to say that I didn't expect there to be this much pushback for the host of the event today, the state police, but they repeatedly pushed back on us saying that's not a good idea. And mayor after mayor stood up and said, we respectfully disagree with you. We want a temporary ban on personal drones and commercial drones, at least in the evening. And after every single mayor said it, they once again pushed back and said, basically not going to happen. We're not going to do that. They did say that if we have a local ordinance, that we have jurisdiction over our own municipality. So that is something that, again, I did discuss today with our Office of Emergency Management. But I need other mayors, and I've been calling on it, and I've talked to several mayors already. I know Mayor Pronti in North Arlington has already signed on. He's also joining me in that ban. And I know many other mayors, especially the 8 or 10 that mentioned it and repeatedly brought it up today, are going to be continually to ask for that. I will say, because I did put that in my social media post, the governor's office has already reached out to me and provided some guidance as to why they believe that's not possible. And I pushed right back on them and said, I believe this is a matter of national or local security. And I think that if they truly wanted to do this ban, they can do that. After all, the only person that would have standing to sue the governor's office for implementing such ban would be the FAA. And I kind of think we're helping the FAA out here, so I don't think that would necessarily happen. But we do need mayors, and I am calling upon my fellow colleagues to ask for this. Do something locally if you can. We absolutely do want a temporary ban on residential and commercial drones. Again, this way at nighttime, if you do see something, you know it's not a hobbyist. You know it's not somebody local. You know it's not some commercial operator operating. You'll know it's the bad guys, and we'll know to go find them. And that's something that we're going to do here in Belleville. As I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely going to protect our critical infrastructure, and if need be, we will defend that infrastructure. That's really everything I got. I do ask you again to just be vigilant. If you do see something, say something. We don't really want you to use 911. If you have a local non-emergency number for your local police department, please do so. If you do call 911, you most certainly can do so. But just know that we will then be redirecting that to the FBI. When we redirect that to the FBI, all it really is a QR code. We upload a report and we never hear anything again. That's basically the way that they are logging these instances. But again, I will end with the fact that if you joined us late, you can always go back and watch this entire feed on my post. We did have several takeaways, and those takeaways were not New Jersey. We are told not federal. We do not know where they're landing. We do not know where they're taking off from, but we do know that they appear to be monitoring New Jersey's critical infrastructure. So that's it, everybody. My name is Mayor Michael Melham. Any mayors joining us, please do join me and join your fellow colleagues in asking for an immediate temporary ban on recreational and commercial drones. And as I get more information, I'll be coming back to you all live. Thank you again for watching me. I really appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.